Hi guys, it's Emily from Nobel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my top five historical fiction authors. Now, I've got lots of authors that I love, lots of authors from different areas of historical fiction, because historical fiction is such a wide space of time. There are lots of authors that write historical fiction and write contemporary. So like an honorary mention for that would be, I think, Taylor Jenkins Reid. You know I loved The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I loved like Carrie Soto, those sort of ones. But she also writes contemporary, so I didn't really want to include her in my top five. And there are authors that I enjoy from, you can look at my videos, I've got a real thing about historical fiction, and I've got lots of authors that I love, but I thought where I'd done top five contemporary, I thought I would talk about top five historical fiction. I am going to do a video, I think probably November or December, about doing my verses, so contemporary versus historical fiction, like sort of things like that. So my stats regarding the numbers of historical fiction book I've read, the numbers of contemporaries, the numbers I've kept, that kind of thing, because I think it's quite interesting. They're two very much my two favourite genres. Historical fiction is something that I love. For me, I love historical fiction for many reasons, because I think for me a lot of it is our history teaches us who, like, our past shapes us, it shapes who we become. So the past of our country has can really have an impact. I don't know whether you want me to do a video on why I love historical fiction. Please let me know down below. I'd really love to know, because that is very tempting to do that as well, because like I said, I did that on contemporary. I might want to do it a bit more on historical fiction. But I have areas of historical fiction that I love. So I have like wartime historical fiction. I love the Tudor historical fiction. I love Tudor Victorian, obviously. Victorian is an era of sort of Victorian, so she's Wardian. I've got some really areas of history I love. And again, another video, would you like to know a bit more of that? I can't remember. So I know I have done a video where I've recommended historical fiction, like through the ages, but I thought this one is literally just going to be my top five, and I'm actually doing it in order of the top five. So I'll start with number five and then go down to number one. I will say my top three are very, very similar. They are all very different, but they're all very, very close. I've just gone with my gut instinct. So I would love to know, before I do this, I know I do this on like a lot of my videos, but before I start talking about these authors, can any of you predict any of these authors historical fiction that I love in historical fiction? Can any of you predict my favourite? I would love to know if you do. See if you guess it and put it in the comments below. Like I said, all of these authors I've read more than one book by, at least 3 books, and so they've all had good ratings and they are all very interesting. I will be showing 1 or 2 books by each, or either 1 or 2 books by each author, but I don't want this to be a super long video because it's supposed to be hot today. I'm filming this on when the temperatures is going to be going up to about 30 degrees later, so I need to get this video done. So I've given you a bit of time, so let's start at number 5. Now number 5, I was really debating. I nearly said about Emma Donoghue, but I realised I hadn't actually kept her books. So in my opinion, if you haven't kept your books, obviously can't be that good. But one author that I've kept all bar one of the books, because I didn't have that, and I didn't have the short stories by this author, and that is Heather Morris. Now Heather Morris books are historical fiction, but they are based on true events. So we all know The Tattooist of Auschwitz. This book is historical fiction because it's not exactly it's his story, but not written in his own words. It's his story with some fiction elements within it. Now I still keep his books on my non-fiction area because, like I said, they are based, so this is a bit of a crossover, but they are based on real events. Now we all know Tattooist of Auschwitz, Lael Solovus, I can't say his bloody name, he was the Tattooist of Auschwitz, and this is his story, but it is written by Heather Morris. She has also got Silka's Journey, 3 Sisters, and she's got a new book coming out, and I will link that book. I'll see. It's on Amazon, everyone can see it. It's coming out in September and it's coming out in hardback. I'm trying to decide whether I get the hardback, because I did get the hardback of 3 Sisters, I did get the hardback of Silka's Journey, but I got the paperback of this, and I am keeping them. So I'm trying to decide whether I pay full whack for the hardback, or whether I get this. What I will say about these books are they're all set around Auschwitz and around that era, and they're set around in World War II in Germany and in Auschwitz. Now Auschwitz is not Germany, I know, it's that area. I'm crap with geography, I'm really sorry about this, but The Jewish of Auschwitz is my favourite book by this author, but I'm really torn. It's either my favourite or The Three Sisters. This is the one I've read twice. I've only read Three Sisters once, and The Three Sisters for me is incredible because it is about three very, very different sisters, and obviously I'm one of three sisters, and I think I might reread that. I think that's going to get reread next year, actually, The Three Sisters, because that was amazing. Silka's Journey was good, and like I said, but it didn't wow me as much. It was still 5 stars, it was still an incredible book, but this one and Three Sisters are ones that really live in my memory. Now, we all know what happened in those concentration camps in Germany, over in that area. Why do I keep saying Germany? I know Tatoosh is not in Germany. But their stories, the stories of survival, the stories, and Heather Morris's writing is incredible. I've read quite a few books about Auschwitz and about the camps. I was one that grew up with, The Diary of Anne Frank was one of my first books I read as a child, as like a teenager. And that was very heartbreaking, very hard to find out what sort of happened in the camps. And that was how I got the first era. So yes, these books are very depressing, very sad, but they have hope. Now, Lael, I shouldn't really say, but we all know his story. His story went down in legend because he had to tattoo everyone. And he had to do this, but he had such a kind heart and he didn't want to do this. He was like an amazing guy. And I loved hearing his story, but I love the way Heather Morris writes. She's an incredible writer. Yes, these books are hard-hitting. Yes, these books are emotional, but they are written amazingly. And like I said, hope runs through. Hope about surviving, hope about community in these horrible places. And people survived. People that were in those camps, they survived things that no one should survive. They shouldn't. Very few people came out of those camps, but those that did had stories that would live a lifetime. So I just think that book's incredible. And that author, Heather Morris, is incredible. So now to number 4. Now that was, this is Philippa Gregory. Now I've got 2 books by her that I love, but I don't think I didn't stupidly keep. So she's obviously got this series, the Tidelands series, the Tidelands, Dark Tides, and Dawnlands, which Dawnlands I've still got to read. So I think I'm going to read that in December. And that was the book that Charlie from Charles Heathcote gave me. In fact, he's given me all 3 of them with his books. He's such a lovely guy. And Tidelands is another series that she's written. She has written obviously the Plantagenet series, the Tudor series, and I absolutely love that. To me, it was a real toss between Philippa Gregory and Alison Weir, but Philippa Gregory's this series was incredible, and I loved the Tudor Queen series. I loved the White Queen. I thought the White Queen was absolutely incredible. I thought this is incredible. I need to go and get my own copy of the White Queen, so I need to get off my bum. I think if it's at Bath Books when I go there this week, I will get it because I love the White Queen. Didn't like the Red Queen as much, and I like bits and bobs of each of the series, but they're really good. I've now got her Fair Mile series that I'm supposed to read, but I've heard that's controversial, so I'm hoping I can bear with that. But I am loving her newer writing. I love the Plantagenet series. Oh, she's also got the other series, which is Elizabeth of York and then Henry VIII's other stories. So that's another trilogy that she's writing. And I've got to read Elizabeth's story, and I got that for Christmas. Oh, I've got that for my birthday. So I've got 2 of her newer books that I still need to read, and I think I'm going to wait for Henry VIII's paper book coming out in the paperback. It's out in hardback, Henry VIII's non-fiction sort of story, and that's actually based on his story rather than his Queen's, which she's written about before. So I'm going to get that next year. I'm going to get it in paperback, so all my copies. I like my copies to match hardback paperbacks. So yeah. I think this is an incredible series. She writes beautifully. I think, obviously, like I said, I've preferred her more in recent series. I don't like her older works. But if you definitely want to go into it, if you want to know, her works are fictional. They are not non-fiction, so she does do some twists and turns in the books. But they are very, very interesting. Like I said, The White Queen is such a great story. And that's about Henry VIII's mother. Henry VIII's, grandmother. I also love Lady of the Rivers. I thought that was so beautiful as well. So many like that series I love. The Tideland series is set in a different era. It's set in the 1648. This is the first one set in 1648, and it goes through that. And this follows Eleanor, and that's Eleanor's story. And she's got 3 books and her generations. So this was a really good series. I've reread that this year, and I actually went from a 4-star to a 5-star. So that's number 4. Now here we go into the top 3. In at number 3, 2 books that I thoroughly loved, but totally and utterly broke me to shreds. Firstly, The Nightingale. Look, I gave away my first copy of this because although the writing is incredible, it broke me. This was my first Kristin Hannah that I read, and it broke me to shreds. I am going to reread, this is another one I'm going to reread at some point, and this is again World War II book. And this talks about the Nightingale tells the story of 2 sisters separated by years and experience, by ideals and passion, circumstances, each embarking on their own dangerous path towards survival, love and freedom. This is stunning. I think this book is one of the best books that was ever written. Yes, it broke me. Yes, it ripped me to shreds. But if you want to go in on Kristin Hannah, go in on this. It is absolutely incredible, but it will break you. It will make you cry. I don't think I've read a Kristin Hannah book or I didn't cry. I've still got to read The Great Alone. I've still got a few of her books that I'm going to be reading. But this is absolutely sodding incredible. I loved it. Now, the next one is my favourite. I think it was my favourite book of last year. It's certainly a book that I thoroughly loved, and that is The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. Again, I've spoken about this book in so many videos. It is an absolutely incredible book. Again, I got ripped to shreds. I cried my flipping eyes out. It's set in the Dust Bowl. It's set in the Dust Bowl in 1934 in America, and it's in the Great Plains and the Dust Bowl. And it's when poverty was at its worst. And Elsa Martini, she does everything for her kids. She fights for everything. She has a strength like no other. But this will break you and rip you to shreds. I thoroughly love Kristin Hannah's writings. I'm collecting all her books. Literally, I'm collecting as many of them. I know she's got a new book that's coming out next year, and I will be buying it. I think I'll even buy it hardback, which I don't normally do. I don't buy hardbacks very often, but again, that's one that I think is going to be worth it. So yeah, Kristin Hannah is an amazing. And what I like about Kristin Hannah is they're not just set in one time era. She does write over different periods. And I think that for me is something that her and Philippa Gregory, they both write in different time periods. So it kind of keeps it quite interesting. She's written there's another one, The Winter Garden. That I read that this year. That broke me to pieces as well. There's so many books from different eras that are incredible and different stories, but her writing is definitely emotional. She is one that will break you to pieces. An amazing author. Now in at number 2. Could not do a historical fiction book author without doing Elaine Everest. I love her. I read a lot of historical fiction wartime books set in this country. Annie Murray's a good author for that. I've got Anton Dubek. He's written some good books set in that era. We've got so many. I've got a series by different authors, but this one, she's written different series. So she's got a duology at the moment. She's got The Tea Shop Girls, which is a duology, and that's now going to be turned into a trilogy, I believe. I don't know if she's going to carry on with that. And that book, she's got another book for that coming out next year. The Woolworths Girls series is her longest series. She's got a new book coming out in, I think it's the 12th, actually, I know when it's coming out. It's coming out the 12th of October because that's the day I've got a hospital appointment. And I am getting it in paperback. It's already out in hardback, but I'm getting it in paperback because, again, I've got all her books in paper. And the Woolworths Girls series is incredible. That series is about friendship. It's about the first Woolworths Girl book is set at the start of, I think it's at the start of World War II, but she has written, and it's set in 1938, and she's also got 2 books that come off of this series. So there is A Mother Forever, which is one of the ladies in this book's grandmother's story, and then she's got one of the manageress of the Woolworths shop, Betty, her story, which was a book that I read this year, that came out this year. And then, like I said, the newest one is the sequel, and then she's got, like I said, the Tea Shop Girls one's coming out next year. I love this series. She's got another book that's a standalone, which I got sent by the publishers. I love that, but this series is incredible. You need to start at number 1 though, and you need to read them in order, because it is such an incredible series, and it's one that I will love forever. I love this author's work. She actually seems like a really nice person as well when I've talked to her on different social media aspects, but she's brilliant. Her books are incredible. Buy them. She's literally one of the best. But before I shove yet, I will show you the standalone book, which is The Patchwork Girls by Elaine Everest. This actually went on my favourites for the year, because I don't put series books in my favourites because I think it's hard to sort of judge them that way. But this one is a standalone, and it's set in Biggin Hill. It's set in the wartime. This one is more of a mystery kind of historical fiction, which I loved. It's very different, but again, it's got a lot about friendship and a lot about that elements, and it's got real community, and you just can't not love that book. But that was my ad PR product, because I did get sent it by the publishers, although I would have bought it anyway. So now to my top historical fiction author. So far, she's only written 3 books. All of them I've loved. Does anyone know if this new person has got another book coming out? Katie from Books and Things is the one that got me into her. It is Stacey Halls. She's written 3 books. I'm hoping there's a 4th one coming out soon. She's written The Foundling, and The Familiars, and Mrs. England. The Familiars is her first book. It's got witches. It was my favourite book of the year that year. Second one, The Foundling, I liked, but I didn't love it as much. Mrs. England flipping blew my mind. This is a bit of a mystery. I did get the hardback, and to be honest, I'm not even ashamed. Look at the end pages. It is such a stunning book, but those end pages. She's right, so she does write in slightly different historical fiction eras. This one is set in 1904. Like I said, the first one was set at the witch time, when witchcraft was all about, and then The Foundling was, I believe, sort of Victorian-ish sort of the time. This was about when newly graduated nurse Ruby May takes a position looking after children of Charles and Lillian England, a wealthy couple from a powerful dynasty of mill owners. She hopes it will be a fresh start that she needed. But it's obviously some twists and turns. And if you love historical fiction, if you love the dark kind of gothic-y element, you will love Stacey Halls. I got into her because of Katie, and obviously Katie from Books and Things may have only written 1 book at the moment, but I sense she will be an up-and-coming new favourite historical fiction author, not just because she's one of ours, but because she's amazing. But those are my top 5. Are there any historical fiction authors you guys recommend to me? Is there any, did you predict any of these? I'd love to know in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, not subscribed yet, bring on my digging, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.